Welcome to week 6 of Cab Conversation, and this with us this week, Brian Scott in Indiana, and together in Iowa, representing Iowa and Illinois, Aaron Brenneman and Thomas Titus. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
Let's start things off with a little bit of a crop update. Brian, we'll start with you here in Indiana. 95% of the crop is planted here in the state. How have things been going? Weather's been a little sketchy. A lot of rainfall, and how is the crop looking?
The crop looks really good. We got some rains right after we got done. Probably most of our beans did not go in perfect conditions. Some rain to get those up and going, and we got that. Really good. I'm side dressing corn right are going to be as soon as we're done here, and a few more days of that, and we'll be done with that, and it's going to be wheat harvest before we know it.
You mentioned side dressing corn. Explain what you're doing with that, maybe the percent and some of the technology that you use to do that, and why you do that.
Yeah, so we've kind of switched our corn nitrogen program the last few years. We used to do a lot of fall applied and then maybe some pre-plant, and rarely we would come do what's called side dress, where you go out in the corn after it's up and put the nitrogen on. In the last few years, we haven't done any fall apply. We've done a little bit of pre-plant, and now we're doing almost 100% side dress.
When you talk about utilizing this type of nitrogen to feed the crop, why switch from pre-plant or fall applied to this variable rate? What benefits does that provide?
Yes, so from kind of right now up through the reproductive stages is when corn is using the most nitrogen on a daily basis. So the closer you can get that window from application to use, the less likely you are to lose nitrogen to the atmosphere or to groundwater due to environmental conditions. So on one hand, it's a wallet kind of thing. We're trying to cut back rates as we push back our application time and maximize efficiencies. So we're trying to do good by the environment and do good by our checkbook at the same time.
Thanks, Brian. Aaron and Thomas in Iowa, we will check in with you guys. Thomas, you want to give us an update on planting and corn crop? I've seen some pictures the last couple of weeks about your corn.
Yep, no, planting progression is great. We finished with corn and soybeans. Now we've moved on to phase number 2 of our spring, early summer activities. We've been cutting a lot of hay the last 2 weeks. The corn crop looks great. Emergence on beans, we still have a few to come up. This cool weather, and we had quite a bit of rain last week, has caused a little bit of challenge in getting a few beans out of the ground. But the heat we're going to see this week is going to get everything up. Corn looks exceptional, and we're really looking forward to what this hay crop will bring for us this year.
Aaron, how are things looking in Iowa?
I'm by no means the crop expert that these two are, but I can tell you how it looks, and it looks nice. I know I've seen Thomas's pictures as well, and we're probably not as far along as corn is, but we haven't had that warmer weather either. I think that you guys got more than we did. So it looks nice, but like he said, this week it's just going to really look awesome. But we're all done. That's what I can tell you. And the sweet corn's not in yet, and I'm upset. That's my crop expertise for you.
That is the first thing that went in on our farm in Illinois was the sweet corn.
I know. Well, no.
Priorities.
Yeah.
You have to have priorities.
Yeah, for some reason that one falls to the end of the list on our farm. I don't know.
All right, Aaron and Thomas, you guys are in Des Moines, Iowa this week for World Pork Expo. Talk to me a little bit about what's going on there and what you guys are doing there as you spread the message of pork, obviously by the shirts that you're wearing that say pigs, the inventors of bacon.
So it's not a coincidence that Aaron and I are dressed exactly the same this morning. We're actually participating in a panel with the Bachelor Chris Soul. It's about opening your barn and talking about transparency and building trust in agriculture with some of the participants at the World Pork Expo in Des Moines, Iowa, and helping give them some tools and give them some inspiration on how they can take that back home and utilize it on their own farm so they can begin to share their farm story.
Right. It's one part of the puzzle to speak to consumers about obviously what we do. But the other part of the equation is encouraging other people, other farmers, to open up and be transparent about what they do on the farm as well, because we all know we're all very passionate about what we do, and I think that's really important to share your story.
What forms of technology are you guys using?
Snapseed's a great tool, and I'll probably hit on that a little bit today. Whenever we're taking on-farm pictures, and especially scenery pictures, utilizing Snapseed to edit your pictures will increase your effectiveness of people's reception of your picture. Just some small editing, it works wonders. But some of the platforms that we use, I mean, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are your major threes. There's some other social media platforms that are trying to get started and really take off but haven't really caught on yet. But focus on what you're comfortable with. Whether if it's just Facebook and you're not real comfortable with Instagram or Twitter, don't utilize the other two. Focus on what you're comfortable with before you begin to branch out and try to utilize other forms of social media.
I would agree too, Thomas. That's a great point. If you try to do all forms of social media, you're going to get burnt out and frustrated, and you're going to probably quit. So focus on something that you are comfortable with. And like you said, Facebook's usually pretty easy, one that everybody is more familiar with, but that's important to remember.
As you look at the way you take in things to share, whether it's your iPhone, your mobile device, whatever it is, there's also other forms of more advanced technology like drones. And you utilize one of those quite often on your farm. Talk about some of the pictures that you take and some of the things that you're doing with that and how you're sharing your message at the farmer's life.
Yeah, so the drone's supposed to be for crop scouting, but I play with it a lot. Like yesterday I took a picture of me side dressing from straight up, looking straight down onto the tractor and the applicator, and got quite a bit of response out of that, and I use Snapseed to edit the picture. But it's really neat, and to talk to people beyond the choir, like we like to say, I use different GoPro hashtags and drone, unmanned aerial system, UAS hashtag, to get the message out to a lot of people other than farmers. And I think it really, in the last year or so since I've been using it, people that aren't familiar with farming, I can take a picture up above our equipment out in the field and really give a scope of it, what we're doing, versus shooting out the windshield of the tractor and you can't really see what I'm doing.
How important do you think that is to telling the message and for agriculture to continue to tell the message, to maybe look at it from a different perspective and from something that somebody may see from above or driving down the road?
Yeah, it just gives the people an idea of the equipment we're working with, how big the fields are. People ask me, like, how many acres is that? And it'll be, just like a regular 80 or something. They'll be like, I thought it was like 500 acres. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not that big. But it's important to get out there and us being the ones trying to tell our own story rather than let somebody else do it.
All right, each week you guys have a chance to talk to each other, ask each other some questions. What do you want to learn from each other this week?
Brian, what kind of drone do you use, and what would you suggest for a beginner?
Okay, I was a beginner like a year and a half ago. I have a DJI Phantom 2 with a GoPro. The Phantom 3 just came out. It's got its own camera, but it's got some really cool capabilities. So now you can control the camera from the radio on the ground. It's pretty neat, and it's if you got your hands on one with somebody that's experienced, it's crazy how easy they are to fly with all the GPS and the compasses that are in them. I had about 5 minutes of training with one, and I can't drive a remote control car to save my life. But this thing, it's so easy with a little bit of common sense about your surroundings and what's going on. You can be flying pretty quick and do some pretty impressive stuff.
And we'll see you next week for our next episode of Cab Conversations.